Okay, so I've made Gamestor. It's a storage, hosting, and assets control for distribution and running of games. So it's a blockchain for online storage of game assets, streaming, hosting of game servers, and user authentication. So the idea is that game platforms like Steam or the App Store are centralized, and unlike ownership, they also have a problem of the data itself being valuable, and that gives rise to piracy, and so they put their servers, so they create servers for their games to handle piracy, so to not let people see what code is actually running, what software is there, and that causes problems because those servers can get overwhelmed, they cost money, and they eventually get taken down. So what I implemented was a very simple blockchain, microservices, and an ownership layer. So using the blockchain for storage and streaming of game assets, Toda for ownership of those digital assets, so keys in this case, and the Edge SDK to be able to host low latency servers for players. So instead of being just anywhere, they're actually close nearby, so it's lower latency for the actual game server that's running. Okay, also homomorphic encryption, but I wasn't able to get that done. So let's go to a demo. Okay, so here on the left, once I get to it, is the game, which loads in the opposite window, so I have to bring it over. Okay, so if I press 1, I will have a valid key, and this is a game that I made 2 years ago at a game jam. And when I switch the screen, it contacts the blockchain client on the right. You see it's doing stuff, and it's doing a Toda queue check to see whether or not the user of the game key still has access to that game key, whether they still own it, and it's contacting the blockchain to fetch data back from the blockchain. As well, you can't see it here, but it's also contacting the Mimic on my phone, and that's actually running the game server that's telling this game what maps to load when you change screens. So when you change screens going up, you need to, oops, that would be the Mimic part, not deploying. So, but as you see, the Mimic on my phone has to run for this to work. So that's part of the cloud software part. Now, so the idea is to allow for game companies to put their online servers into a blockchain and allow that blockchain to run and not to not to take it down and save that money and all that stuff.
Awesome. Awesome. Let's give another round of applause for the first demo. It's really hard to do it go first. It's really hard. I love what I saw. I love that you're out here. Did you have a team?
It was just me.
Holy
me and Jeremy for actually helping with Mimic.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You used a lot of stuff. You used Mimic, you used Toda. What else did you use?
Mimic, Toda, Python for the coding, and the game was written in an old JavaScript thing, but that was done before the jam. I just changed it to use my blockchain and APIs and whatnot.
Awesome. What's your name again?
Barry.
Barry. So anyone have a question for Barry?
Barry, what do you wish you could have gotten done that you didn't?
Well, the last part, where the idea is that the reason why game companies wouldn't use this right now, and why they wouldn't use blockchain, is that to prevent people from pirating their game, they have to be able to prevent people from seeing what's actually running. So the last key part, and where a lot of the hard IP would be, is making an executable that is encrypted, that you can't just take out the user authentication easily. Unlike, typical binaries, you can modify it and whatnot. So that, all those techniques.
Hi Barry, could you briefly explain the mathematics behind fully homomorphic encryption for us?
No.
What was your experience using the Mimic and the Toda as a service APIs?
I have a little bit of experience with Toda because I tried to use it as a previous hackathon and nothing worked. But that was okay because they didn't actually release anything.
We did tell you that nothing would work up front.
Yeah, but I tried.
Right.
I tried. Mimic, by comparison, it's a lot more work because you have Docker and all that stuff. And they released some new stuff that made things a lot easier, but that wasn't in the documentation, so Jeremy brought me through that. But having them there is, allows you to kind of bypass that if you just ask.
Nice. All right, last question back here.
Hey Mary, what's the most valuable thing you learned this weekend from any of these upcoming technologies?
I think Mimic has a lot of interesting stuff, specifically with relation to the low latency aspect, because I think that's missing from a lot of blockchain. Blockchain has a lot of high latency, wait a minute for a block to be created. That's not going to work for games. You need something quicker. And having something that you can say, well, I know these people are close and they're running code that I need to use, so I'll use them. Having that really allows something like this to happen, as opposed to having high latency storage in a blockchain. So.
Brilliant. Okay, so that's how it's going to go.